Welcome to the Stories That Sparkle podcast. I'm Hella Rader, and boy, are you in for a treat today. OMG. I sit down with Ramona Sakiestewa. She's a renowned Hopi artist. You can find her in private collections, museum collections, galleries. Yeah, she's an incredible artist. She started out as a weaver. She's moved into prints and works on paper. She's also a designer and has worked on many architectural teams, including the team that did the National Museum of the American Indian on the Mall in Washington, D.C. as part of the Smithsonian. So yeah, she's incredible. We talk a whole bunch about creativity, her journey as an artist. I learn so much from her all the time. And as much as she's an amazing, incredible artist who inspires me creatively, she's also like a mom to me. The last time I saw her was 11 years ago, right before I left Santa Fe, New Mexico to move east. Before that, I had worked with her husband for 2 years and spent every day sitting across the room from Ramona and chit-chatting all day long. So this was a real treat for me. It was a real homecoming. I spent a whole week with them. It was incredible and so, just so nurturing. Yeah, really grateful to both of them and especially grateful to Ramona for sitting down and having this conversation with me. It's really helped me even recently on my journey as an artist. So I invite you to get comfortable, sit back, and listen in. I'm Hella Rader. With a good sense of humor, an open heart, and an open mind, I love to explore the very human complexities in others and in myself. That's why I created a space for women you have never heard of and could easily pass on the street to share in their own voices the intricacies of starting over in life, building community, inhabiting their bodies, and more. Welcome to our Discoball, the stories that sparkle. All righty. Okay, Ramona, we are live. Woohoo! We are recording.
All right.
It's so nice to be here.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here. Hey, y'all, we're here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This is my first conversation while I'm here, and my favorite conversation already.
Great.
Yeah. So, yes, just for some context, I lived here for 4 years and worked here for like 2, I think, with Andy, right? Mm-hmm. So my desk was basically in the opening of between your office space and the rest of the studio space. So we would chat a lot during the day.
Yes.
Over my computer screen.
Yes.
I was like, oh, hi, Ramona.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Yeah.
Something amazing to talk about.
Yes. Oh, it was so fun. Loved that. This is where I learned how to... I've said this to you off the record, but on the record, this is where I got the spark was replanted.
We relit your fire.
Yes.
Good.
And gave me the confidence that I do have creativity within that I'd forgotten, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. So I wanted to chat with you because you're an artist, like a true artist. I mean, everybody has it in them, but you, like, this is what you do.
This is what I do.
Yeah. So what has that journey been like? Where did that start for you?
It was, as a little kid, it was just like all little kids, coloring books and stuff like that. And then I was about 7, I think, 6 or 7. And I remember I drew on paper bags because it was like available and I had crayons. So I made it some kind of mask. I remember it was like sort of a Viking mask. It had horns on it. And I showed it to my mother and she said, oh, that's good enough to be in a museum somewhere. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be an artist. I think I was like 7.
I love that.
And so it just kind of like you just said, it planted the seed. it stayed there. I always did art projects. I was always called on, myself and one other kid who I thought was an amazing artist. Like if there was a school play or they needed a mural or anything like that, the two of us were always the ones called out for the elementary school to come up with something. And in those days, it was tempera paint, if you remember early school days.
I don't know if I do.
Well, we had tempera paint for everything. It was powder, and then you mixed it with milk product, essentially.
Oh, what? I've never heard of that. Really?
And it made this kind of thick, nice
Oh,
paint
wow.
that you could paint with on big sheets of paper, mostly butcher paper. So I did that, and then in junior high, I got mostly into language. I also took dance classes and stuff like that, like a lot of other kids. Then I went away to high school, and they had real art classes. And again, I wasn't thinking about being an artist. I just made art. And
Right. It's just what you did because it's just what came out.
yeah, just kept going. One of my teachers had a loom at her home, and she had these beautiful skeins of yarn, and it was the color and the texture and all of that was very seductive for me because I grew up making a lot of my clothes for school, and it was always about the fabric. You touch the fabric, even before you looked at it, it was like, oh, does this feel good? And then it was like, oh, and this is a nice pattern. I'll get some of this and I'll make
Oh, interesting. So it started for you like in a sensory way in terms of
tactile.
first tactile, like what does it feel like? And then what is the color or the look of it?
Yes. So the weaving was very appealing because it had that. And then you were making the pattern. And you could make anything. So I got some good experience in that, just being around her weaving. And then college came up, and I didn't really have the wherewithal to apply for college. Didn't really know how.
And you didn't have anyone in your sphere who could help you with that?
Not at that time, no. So I decided I'll go to art school. Got the applications, could fill those out. And I wound up going to the School of Visual Arts in New York City in the evenings, and then working as a secretary at Columbia University in the engineering department.
Wow. So did you, because you're in New Mexico now, did you grow up in New Mexico?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, short stay in Arizona where my family's from, and then directly to Albuquerque because my mother got work. She was a nurse in the Albuquerque area. A lot of hospitals in Albuquerque.
Right.
And I grew up with a lot of I had great teachers in elementary school, junior high. I had good friends who lived around, whose families had been around forever. And then we had a lot of kids because we lived near the military base who kind of came and went. So that was interesting kids.
Oh, right. There's always turnover.
So you got to kind of meet the world because these kids were much more savvy than the rest of us who'd grown up locally.
They've been seen
around,
some things.
yes.
Yeah. Well, because New Mexico can feel very far removed in some ways.
Well, and the population of New Mexico was under 1 million people.
Right.
I think it was under 600,000 when I was growing up. I mean, it was really, you could go to any county and know somebody. So off I went to New York. And I got the job first, and then I was able to get the evening classes, and I did that for almost 3 years. And then it got to be wearing. I couldn't really do both and do both well. So I then came back and got jobs in New Mexico and moved to Santa Fe and got a state job with the arts division, which is funding for nonprofit organizations who applied for, it could be music groups, ballet groups, institutions, museums who applied for funding. So I got a lot of experience in administration.
Right.
How to write, how to basically sell these artists to funders.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because that's often a missing link, I think.
With artists.
For artists or creative people trying to then, how do I convert this into...
Yes.
All right, I have questions about that in a minute, but yeah, because I need help with how do I do that?
So it was all these little bits and pieces kind of helped. And then I just, working the state job, I thought, well, I'm really good at writing contracts for other people, but I don't really have a product. And this is not fulfilling. I can show up a piece of paper to you, but I can't actually say, oh, yes, and I made this.
Right.
There was nothing I honestly participated in other than ink on paper. So I decided that I would become a full-time weaver, and I borrowed money from my father-in-law. And I paid it back in 3 years. I borrowed $30,000. And I still can't believe that I actually paid him back in 3 years. But
wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
I just, it was a point of honor to be able to do that. And for myself. So I started a business, and I can't think of anything that would be harder to sell than hand-woven fabrics and material and blankets and rugs.
Right.
But that's where I began.
Right. Wow.
And so I'm very organized. I schedule things. I had the administrative part nailed down, but it's very difficult. It's like bad manners to sell yourself.
Okay, this is a good point. Like, thank you for saying that, because this is where I'm sitting at the moment. Like, I know that's what I need to do. I mean, that's part of the job, that I get to do that, but it feels like bad manners. It feels rude and not okay, inappropriate.
Yeah, self-absorbed.
Yeah, like narcissistic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like the last thing I want it to be or do. And yet... it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable for me. So, yeah.
So in a way, I think that's why artists then actually do get agents, successful artists like theater people or, media people. They really do need an agent to sell something because it gives credibility in the same way that I could sell my work directly to a collector, but if they purchased it through a gallery, it gives the product and me the good housekeeping seal of approval, that I'm credible, that I'm viable. And if something goes amiss, say they don't get it delivered in the time frame they thought they would get it, then they go to the gallery, not to me. It takes the personal thing away from you.
Right. Right.
Which is both good and bad, but helpful.
Right.
Can be very helpful.
Right.
So I looked into joining up with a gallery here in Santa Fe, Llewellyn Contemporary, which was Arlene Llewellyn, who had been a teacher at one point. And she had the most amazing way of cataloging collectors in her mind. And you would bring work in, and she would immediately say, oh, I think this piece would be appealing to so-and-so. And I'll call them, or so-and-so's coming in next week, and I will put this aside for them to see. So having a great gallerist was a huge step up for me.
So what was the transition like? Were you weaving and making these blankets? Were you considering them fine art pieces at this point, or like from the start, or?
That the interpretation has always been a problem for other people.
Interesting.
I just like making it. I liked the product. I made pieces that were based on historical Southwestern style blankets. I made blankets that you could put on the floor. I'm not fussy about what you do with the blanket. Once you buy it, it's yours.
Right. Frame it or not. Use it. Don't. Whatever.
Hang it on the wall. Hang it badly on the wall. Hang it well.
Right. Put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Throw it on your bed.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I love that. You're like, I'm just making this. I'm putting it out into the world. And once it leaves my studio, you do.
It's yours.
It's yours. You make it of it what you want.
Yeah. And you have your relationship with it. I had mine with it.
Right. That's what it feels like when I write something or even make an episode. Like I have my relationship with the recording of it, the editing of it. But then once it's out there, I'm like, yeah, it's now whoever's listening, like to make of it what they want.
Yes. So same thing.
Yeah.
That's a huge stumbling block for a lot of artists. They get very attached to their work. And just recently I had that happen with the work on paper that I did, where I realized I wasn't finishing it because I just liked looking at it on my table in the studio. And I kept fiddling around with it. And then finally 2 very good friends came to visit, and I said, so what do you think about this? I said, it's not quite finished. And they looked at it and they said, oh, it's done. So it was the impetus for me to then permanently attach it to paper and affix it to its life outside and beyond me. But normally, I'm just like, I do it. It's the satisfaction of completing a concept or an idea I had. I don't stall. I just, but once in a while, it'll pop up. Or later, the best thing is later, if I see my work in a catalog or a museum exhibit, I'll go, wow, that was a really good piece.
Right. Like, oh, I did well.
And it's just a nice little pat on the back for myself, where at the time I was kind of like, well, it's done, it's over, goodbye. But to see it again, it still holds up. So that's very satisfying.
So at the so you're a woman artist. You're also Hopi, right? So did you feel like you had? Did it feel like you had things stacked against you at this time, or you were just like, I'm just doing this because this is what I do, and I'm just forging ahead. I have all this background in how to get things done, so I'm not really worrying about what I'm supposed to do. Does that make sense? The question makes sense?
Well, I didn't worry about what I was supposed to do. It turns out in Hopi tradition, women make ceramics, men are the weavers. That was the traditional part. So I did get a little pushback from other Hopis saying, well, you shouldn't really be weaving. And I pointed out to them that my friend and fellow Hopi tribal member, Al Koyawama, is a ceramic artist. And I said, so we have just not created a void or anything one-sided. We've just switched places.
Oh, I love that.
In the tribal cosmos.
Right.
And they'd go, oh.
Oh, okay. We can work with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Like there was you were going to switch places here, essentially.
Yeah. No world out of balance.
Right.
We did not create that.
Right. Aw.
Otherwise, the medium itself of weaving was difficult because people worry about it. Is it craft? Is it fine art? Mm-hmm. All the things that you just said. Mm-hmm. Do I put it on the wall? It doesn't really matter to me. It wasn't made specifically for the wall, although I've had commissions for wall pieces. But it's really in the interpretation of the final owner.
Right.
So
did you, in terms of getting this gallerist, was that something like you just took your work with you and said, I'm going to...
Yes.
Did you go up and down Canyon Road?
No, I researched galleries.
Oh, okay.
And but I did show up and said, can I show you my work?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's when she had this catalog in her mind where she could see it and immediately connect who might want that.
And she did it for every single artist.
Wow.
She was an amazing person. And when she passed away, kind of unexpectedly, I got another great gallery called Thai Modern, and it's the daughter of collectors who started the gallery. And when I first met her, she was probably 5 years old.
Aww.
And she and her family would come to Indian Market, and her mother and her dad collected my work for many years, still continue periodically to purchase something. And then she opened the gallery on her own. And I feel very lucky to have a gallery, especially in these times.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how that, I mean, that's shifted a lot over time.
Yes.
Right? Just collecting in general. Mm-hmm.
Collecting, and also galleries really need deep pockets to succeed, to start with. If they don't have it, then it really narrows the field about who they will pick. I remember in New York, you had galleries that built the careers of artists, and I don't think that happens often anymore.
Right.
It's artists build the careers of galleries now. Mm-hmm. So they're very picky, very choosy. Many, many more artists that you're competing with. And it's over time really shifted how people collect. People should never collect for monetary recuperation. Sometimes work becomes more valuable. They should really collect it because they like it. There's some level of engagement that they have with a piece of work.
Yeah, I remember before I worked with Andy, worked out of your space here, I worked at a gallery on Canyon Road. I mean, which I thought was hilarious because did not consider myself any kind of art aficionado of any kind. I was not an art. I didn't study art. I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know. I just know what looks good or what I feel a connection to.
Right.
But it ended up that that's mostly what you do when someone walks in is you just stand with them and see what resonates for them.
Yeah.
That they want to see in their home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, because every once in a while there'd be the person who was collecting for, is it going to appreciate in value? And I'm like, probably won't buy anything here.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the kind of art we sold.
Yeah.
So, or had. Yeah. No, that was an interesting experience to be on the other side of, standing with someone looking at a wall and like what's coming up for them.
Yeah.
And just giving them the space to have an experience of the piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm bumping along doing my artwork, and I get a call from an architect out of Washington, D.C. area. And he says he's coming to the West because he's working on a museum in Washington, D.C. And I said, sure, I'm happy to meet with you. So he comes to Santa Fe, and we sit around the kitchen table. And it turns out he's on the architectural team building the new Suitland, Maryland facility, which is going to house the collection of the National Museum of the American Indian. And I had seen that collection when I lived in New York, and it was up in the Bronx, and things were literally crammed together.
Oof.
In a very really distressing way. I mean, baskets within baskets, folded textiles, feathers kind of, and costumes sort of pushed into glass cases.
Oh, that must have been painful to look at.
Well, it was, and there was no room for expansion. The cases were so old that they were actually collectible because it was handmade glass.
Wow.
And kind of beautiful carpentry for these cases and little brass nails that held it together. And then you'd see some smashed, like, I'll never forget, there was this Inupiaq fur coat. Just, when they took it out of that case, I'm sure that it had the same corner as the case it had been pushed into. So we're building a new facility in D.C. along with Air and Space has a storage facility in Suitland. Natural History has storage space in Suitland. Well, turned out I said, yes, I'll go on your team. However, in the end, they did not get that job. So a year later, they came back to me and they said, we're now going to build a team for the National Museum of the American Indian on the mall. And it was one of the last spaces available on the mall. Next to Air and Space. So went on that team, and they did get the project. And I worked on that project for 10 years, designing things. I'm not sure they knew what they would have me do. I sort of felt like, well, maybe they'll have me design upholstery material for the theater or some such thing. In the end, I got to design a whole lot of architectural features in the building. Things like flooring. There's a copper screen wall that you see when you come into the building. Every single space I was able to address stylistically, and I loved it. And I didn't realize that in my travels to Mexico, I had a friend who loved to look at every piece of architecture driving from point A to point B in Mexico. And oftentimes it was some church that had been abandoned, or it was some hacienda that was no longer functioning. And we'd look at all these influences over time with this colonial and indigenous architecture. And that vocabulary was just in my head. So this whole project was hugely satisfying. I met amazing people. It was the first job where I didn't really have to prove my credentials.
Oh.
They just said, okay, Ramona, here's the problem to be solved. And I would bring them ideas. And it was an amazing experience, amazing team, and in the end, a really great product that was built on the mall.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I remember going there. I mean, I saw all the pictures when I was working here with you, and
Right.
but then when I moved back east, and I actually could go and see it, it was incredible. That copper screen
wall
was of particular note. Really, like it's a stunning piece.
Well, it's interesting because I like to use some woven element in my work. I still do. It's either a print or an image or something that it's there, it shows up. And the copper screen wall was, the team felt that they wanted to see the idea of a basket emerging from the ground. And so that's where the genesis of that idea came from.
Mm-hmm. How is it different working, on your own, making, your own pieces by yourself versus being part of a team? I mean, those are two different headspaces, aren't they? Or
it is. It still continues to be a mind shift because you're absolutely right. It was suddenly I'm working with people. I'm reporting to other people. I'm showing them ideas. My work is being scrutinized. But I can't tell you how much fun it was, because these were very smart people, and they appreciated that I could bring them 3 ideas about a space. And then going back and working for myself was like, whoop, it's all on you, very different. And it still happens when I first start a job with a team of people. You do have to make that, or I do have to make that slight shift in response to them. Because I'm always just happy to work by myself if I have a project or something to do. I can do that for days, weeks on end, but...
Right. So when you were talking about, having this system, like, because one of the things that I had to learn while I was writing my book, because that was the first truly creative thing I had done in a long time that was was mine. And it's a very solitary act. The writing is the similarly solitary. It's just you and whatever. It's just you. There's no team. And I had to work out, like, what was my process of doing that. And so talking to other people and be like, oh, 'cause I would talk to an architect friend who was like, yeah, sometimes I just scrap a whole thing because it's not a thing. I'm like, you can do that? They're like, yeah, you can. I was like, oh, you don't have to. No, and some things don't belong in there, and you can rip them out and start over. And I was like, oh, like this was new to my brain. I hadn't figured out my system. Now I think I have it sort of, kind of. So did you just trial and error find, like, when you're working alone, like how you could edit yourself or start over or scrap something? Was that hard?
It's not hard, but I'm one of those people that thinks about something. I have an idea or I see something and I think about it and I mentally digest it over and over and over and over again. I'm not a person that writes it down. I do very few sketches of anything. Sometimes I do it so I won't forget an idea, but I pretty much think about it, and then once I start working on a facsimile or model of something, I can immediately, what's in my head doesn't always transpose well. For example, now I'm doing works on paper, and I'll print things, and what I discovered was the single print, you only have, I thought, one shot at. Well, that's not true. You can print and overprint and overprint to the point where you can't even see what it is that you started with. And I realized, well, I can just take scissors to this, make it into something else, or this portion of a print is really good, and I can turn it into the wings of a butterfly, or the wings of a bird, or some other thing. It's just a paper vocabulary that I have to work with. So yeah, suddenly you realize perfection is not in the first shot. Now, if you're a sculptor and creating in marble, and you have one fabulous piece of stone, I do often wonder, how did they get through to the end without chewing all their fingernails off? Because
I know, that would make me nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not my métier or whatever. But this is not, I should not work in that field.
And they start with a big square of stone, and they draw on it, and they have to mentally 3D and then physically with their hands create something that's three-dimensional. And so I have to create that dimension on flat surfaces and building layers, but it's, and some things, like I think part of this reticence about putting this print together and taking so long was that I know I will never ever be able to, the serendipity of that print can never be repeated. And so that was it. It was a one-time shot, and while I was making it, I wasn't even looking at the fact that it would look like Mount Fuji on two pieces of paper. But in fact, that's what happened. It was just completely spontaneous. And I'll never get that back. I'll never be able to recreate that.
Right.
So I think that was the apprehension of letting it go.
Right.
Whereas weaving and other disciplines are much more immediate. You see the results right away. And you go, oh, yeah, I can do that if I set up the loom the same way. And
like it could be replicated in some way.
It could be replicated. It's like cooking in a way. You can have a recipe, but in truth, you never get the same thing twice.
Right.
Exactly the same.
Right. So what was so now you're still doing your own art. Now you're increasingly on teams with architects, worked on this. 10 years. That's a long time to work on a project.
Yeah.
Whew.
I had no idea I used to be so critical. I'd go in a building, and invariably in the bathroom, the toilet paper holder was either too high or too low, or it was so far back behind you, you couldn't reach the toilet paper. And I'm thinking, who's the crazy person who did this? Well, it wasn't the architect, it wasn't the builder, it was whoever had the box of toilet paper holders and a drill who just screwed it in somewhere.
Right.
Nobody said, you know what, Ralph, you need to make it this high and this far from the door and this close to the toilet.
Right.
Even ADA. So there are lots of things like that in a building. I had no idea there were so many stages. and so many people, and such reverence for work. There was a whole team of people who came in to lay the stone floor on the second floor gallery in the National Museum of the American Indian. And I was there that day, and they were, the foreman of that group stood up and met our little group of architects and people, and he stood up and he said, "It is such an honor to work on a building of this scale." And I was so struck by that. I just assumed it was another job, put the tile down, who cares, get on with it. But they really did have an investment in where they were working, in the materials they were using, and the end product. And it was very moving. And I thought, this is like what you read about in historical buildings, you know, the craftspeople coming together and really having a spirit behind their work makes the building better.
Right, right. Wow. That's amazing.
It was amazing. And it wasn't just them, it was people who were plastering. They would make comments about, they felt so honored to be working on that building.
That's beautiful. Well, you could feel, I mean, now that you know, when I went there, it's a beautiful, I mean, the whole space of that, like from the minute you walk in, there's the outdoor.
Yeah.
That's also something that you
Worked on.
the outdoor walking into the space, just the coming into it.
Well, it's...
And the doors and the door hand, like, or is it the door?
The door handles.
Door handles,
and
yeah.
the glass. Well, for me, it was important that there was a time signature on the building, because so many South American and North American tribes mark time. Like in Mexico, for example, they have these beautiful stone stela who someone carves the date and who it was for and who the ruler was and the intention of the place, and it marks that space and what happened at that date. And I felt like this building needed something that was universally appropriate to all tribes. So I picked the date of the legislation that enacted the building to be built. And so we laid out, thanks to the magic of computers, we laid out a map. So if you were carrying a mirror and you stood in that entry plaza outdoors, you would be able to see where all the visible planets were on that date. And then we just embedded that configuration of the planets in the plaza itself.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
And it was meant to be, I always like things that need no signage. You can figure it out, you can interpret it. Even if it's your own interpretation, it's still fine with me, but it's something you go, oh, look, here's Venus over here. Oh, look, here's where the moon might be. And just acknowledge it, and then eventually go, oh, this marks the heavens on that day, some special day. I wonder what that day was.
Oh, I love that. It's another version of I create the thing and then let people bring to it and discover it in their way.
Without a label. That's
Right.
as long as your arm's saying,
Right.
and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night. I'm like, or this morning, whenever. I'm the person in the museums who just like zooms through, and I'm like, where's the headlines? Because I don't stop and read all the things.
Yeah.
It's just not what I do. I didn't know there's two types of visitors generally. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, I'm definitely the walks through and reads headlines person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, if something stands out to me, I'll stop and read into it a little bit further. But mostly, I'm just cruising through. Yeah.
It's like a good mystery book. You don't want to read how it ends,
Right.
or be told everything.
So, what was the transition from weaving to print or to like works on paper?
Well, when we built this house 22 years ago, I realized I was doing more architectural work, and I wouldn't be able to, and also you could feel that the art market was starting to tank. I mean, it has ups and downs, and it was really starting to tank. So I donated all my looms to a weaving center up in Espanola, and it was kind of freeing. And as architectural work, the ebb and flow of that, I realized that I liked and had worked with paper all along. And it's very much like fabric. I mean, I have different kinds of papers, different textures, colors that I could sew them together. I could construct, deconstruct. And it's more immediate than weaving. Mm-hmm. So it just became something that I could do, that I enjoyed. And I've been successful through the gallery in getting collectors to look at it. It's funny, once they know you make one thing, they are very hard to shift them into something else.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's sort of everyone's like you get categorized or slotted into as an artist. This person does this. Yeah. And it's like, well, but now I'm doing that.
Well,
I'm evolving.
Yeah, it's funny how that goes, because I've heard collectors at Indian Market go, "Oh, did you see so-and-so's pottery? She's no longer doing the classic, sgraffito in her pottery. She's now doing something completely different." And it's like, well, yeah, after a while, that artist wants to evolve and try something new and do something different. But it takes collectors a little bit to shift and see that vision, because they too get kind of in a repeating loop of collecting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I find that, because that's part of my thing. I'm like, oh, now I want to do this, now I want to do that, and how do I take all of this and make it that? Like, how can I blend these things together? Yeah. So if you could speak to your younger self and give her one thing, one suggestion, idea, thought, do this one thing. If you do nothing else, do this one thing as you're starting out, what would that be?
Don't worry about how you'll get to your vision. Just try it. It's like you've taken all the swimming classes, and then eventually you're just going to have to jump in the deep end and swim.
Right.
Do that sooner than later.
Right. Like, don't stand on the edge too long.
Nah, just do it.
Right.
I mean, I've met people who I'm sure you have too in workshops where they've taken every workshop and that's what they do and they enjoy it, but they're never going to actually do anything with what they learn.
Right, right. Yeah. No, it's a good point. I mean that was certainly, I'm like, oh, I can talk about doing this for another 10 years.
Uh-huh.
At some point just do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not great.
Even if it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's I think that's a worry for a lot of people, depending on how you were raised.
Mm.
And perfection was it's still a big motivator for me. I love reading theories by psychologists. You know, being a perfectionist is really not a good thing. And then other people saying, got to strive for perfection. I mean, nobody gets to the Olympics by being a mediocre athlete.
Right.
It's hours and hours of trying to achieve perfection. Mm-hmm. And I personally feel like it's a good thing for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe not everybody, but it certainly is for me.
Right, right. Well, it's funny because I was, one of my recent on this trip in Dallas, I spoke with a woman who's a pianist, has done concert, played in concert pianist, concert level pianist, and she also plays tennis, and she was like for her they're very connected in terms of it's practice, practice, practice in either scenario, piano or the tennis, and so that when the time comes where you perform, you're ready because you've been practiced. So it seems very similar to me. The just do it, and striving to get to that place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't. You can only make it look easy and spontaneous if you have hours of training.
Oh. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, it looks effortless. Yeah, it looks effortless, but Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what are you working on now? Where are you? Because are you still doing printmaking? Because when I was still here, it was a lot of printmaking.
I'm still doing printmaking. And there's always these glitches. I had a wonderful printer, Mike McCabe, who was a Navajo printer and artist himself, and he passed away 2 years ago unexpectedly, and it puts a dent in everybody's psyche who worked with him, because he was one of those people who he made it seem so easy. He was an artist himself, but you would walk through the door and he'd say, oh, I'm here to print. And he said, oh, let me show you what so-and-so did last week, the week before, whatever. And you'd show him your idea, and then he'd pull out of a drawer, well, here's something somebody did a year ago that you might look at. So he was always sharing new techniques, and these weren't complicated. They were things that all of us could do, and it just made your work fresh and kept you on your toes, and it made the interaction with him more fun. There are other printers who they just print. You better come there with everything buttoned up and know exactly what you're doing, and that's what you get. And it shows in the work. There's nothing warm and fuzzy about the print. It's, and not that precision isn't good, it is, but it makes for very staid looking work. Because you look around the studio and you see other people's work still being processed, and it's like, I don't want mine to turn out like that.
Right.
So I got very spoiled with Mike, and his assistant, Connor Flynn, has now taken over the studio. And he's really good because he's worked with all these artists when Mike was living. So we all, I'm sure, had a moment where it was like, ugh, can we still do this?
Right.
And it turned out that it's okay.
Well, because it sounds like I'm hearing in that, like, there's a community
Yes.
involved. Like he was sort of like had created a community that everyone was a part of. So that was part of the making
Yes.
of the prints, was the community of of bouncing off of each other a little bit.
So artists were always dropping by too. It was like you weren't. The competition was with yourself, not with other artists.
Oh, I love that.
So you people felt really good about sharing what they did with other artists.
Right.
And he was, you're right, he was the catalyst that kind of made that flow happen.
All right, so my last question on that, just to piggyback on that a little bit, is how has that worked for you to not be in competition with others, like, but with yourself? Like, has that been a journey, or did that come easily for you, or?
I've always been fiercely competitive with myself. And I am competitive, no question about that. But as I've aged, I see often, because I'm more secure about who I am as an artist. I think I started out feeling like a good craftsperson, but it took a while to actually acknowledge the fact that I was an artist to myself. Other people recognized it before I did. But I would, you always have moments of like, wow, they are doing such amazing work. But there's not that same, like, I have to do that same level of work. I have my own little niche. I know what it is. If I want to step out of that comfort zone, fine. But I don't have to compete with people in any way unless I choose to. I do see, public art projects, and I think, oh, I could design for that, but I would really have to compete, build a team, put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's expensive. And so then you get to be known, and the chances of being selected are higher.
Right.
So as you get older, people go, oh my God, she's still alive. I can't believe it.
You're like, I'm just glad to be acknowledged for being on this planet still. Never mind, carry on. Just thank you for knowing I'm alive. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Right. That's the thing, the focus shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am definitely competitive. I would, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, growing up, it was like, you need to be more chill, I think sometimes, because people are too competitive, but I feel good about myself, my work, where I have landed so far. That's not to say I wouldn't love to work on another big project, or even many more small projects. Everyone is different and unique. Different teams of people, different things to do. But you also have many more ideas. So
Right.
it sort of mellows out all around.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to that's a good takeaway for me. Like, compete with myself and, look to others as a inspiration to push towards further beyond past my comfort zones, or keep going. Like, oh, I want to get there, that kind of thing. and at the same time go, but we all have ours. We all do our own things, and I can just inhabit that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Because it's easy for me to look around and be like, oh, I'm not doing, I'm not there, I'm not doing that. I'm like, yeah, but don't try to copy what that person. It's not going to go well. It's like the printmakers that are very like rigid.
Yeah.
That you were talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. So, but, well, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing.
Well, this is fun, Hella.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your new adventure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad I get to be here as part of that and visit for like a few days.
Yeah.
It's a real treat. I'll be back sooner than 11 years next time.
Let's hope so, because we could all be dead by then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. So, well, thank you so much.
Love you, Hella.
Love you. Thank you for listening to The Stories That Sparkle, a space I created for women to share in their own voices the intricacies of their stories. And another huge, just enormous thank you to Ramona for taking the time. And like I said on the front end, for just opening her home and just being there with me, for me, in all the different kinds of ways. We have so many amazing conversations about all kinds of things all the time. So it's a real treat and delight. And I'm so glad I could share her with all of you in this way. And I just want to say again that, listening back to this conversation at the perfect time for me, where I've been at in my journey creatively. So it was a help to me in September when we recorded this, and it's a continuing help to me today. So I plan to re-listen to this episode a few more times to remind myself of the journey I'm on and how to keep going, and to just trust that I can make the things and put them out and then let them go and go where they want to go. So thank you, Ramona, for all of your wisdom. I so appreciate it. All right. If you're enjoying the Stories That Sparkle podcast, do me a favor. Pass it on to 2 friends and encourage them to download, subscribe, follow, share, all the things, not just this episode, but the podcast in general. I would really appreciate your help in getting the word out about all these amazing women. And if you have a story you want to share or a topic you'd like me to cover in an episode of the podcast, just drop me a line to hellarader@substack.com, because together we bring light into dark places.